All right. We are live. Welcome to my live stream. I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is the live stream where I work on my graphic novel, Two Stories Book 2, which is the sequel to Two Stories Book 1, which is a book I released this year through Marcosia Enterprises. And it is 122 hand-lettered, hand-illustrated pages that you can now get on like Amazon. If you have Prime, it's free shipping, and it's only like $8 on Amazon, which is pretty cool. So anyhow, with that out of the way, who am I? I'm been a professional artist for over 15 years. I'm on my 7th year of being an art director. This is the live stream where I work on art and hang out with friends, and often late at night am joined by what we call the night gang. I did an earlier stream today during the day that was pretty fun, and quite a few people showed up, and that was kind of surprising because it was like just a midday, kind of noon stream. So we'll see how it goes today, but for now, I'm going to get to work and rock and roll. So let's see what we can do, and we're gonna get this next page thumbnailed. So what am I working on too would be a good thing to explain. So basically I'm doing like thumbnails, like tight thumbnails for the next book. And I have about 114 of the pages blocked out. So what I'm going to try to work on today is 115 of the pages. So as usual, what I usually do when I'm about to work on these sorts of things is break the previous page into 3 sections because it's usually done on like a 9 panel grid. And then Corey, if you want to hop on, man, I think he meant to say woke up from a nap, but yeah. So Corey, you're welcome to hop on and work on some animations. I know Corey has a crazy project today. But usually what I'll do is just kind of break up the panels into 3 sections and just kind of see where it goes. So that's kind of what I'm going to be working on. And probably maybe an hour or 2. Who knows? So we'll see how long this takes. Okay. But the reason I break up the panels like that is I'm working in a 9-panel grid. It spares me from having to re-measure out all of my grids. And then it also allows me to very quickly, in a cheap and quick way, sort of see where I was at on the previous pages and kind of reference them so that I make sure I'm being consistent on the sequential art. So yeah, and I definitely need coffee. Drinking from my MAGA Tears mug, which I absolutely adore. I should find out where I ordered that from. And then Corey was saying, I don't know if I can split my focus tonight. I'm doing some kind of complicated stuff. Yeah, I understand. Split focus is tough. But know that you are invited. So, okay. So here we go. And I just basically need to see where I'm at. Lately on this, I'm referencing different like biblical verses, and then it's the tempo is sort of like verse and then reflection, verse, reflection. So that's kind of where we're at, and we'll see how far I can go. Let me see. But there's going to be some fun like dead air moments where I'm looking for the Bible verses. Okay, so I'm still in Matthew, and I guess this one's going to be 6:26. And these are just all verses that when I was considering, sort of re-looking at Christianity, I found really profound and sort of moving, and didn't really reflect a lot of my opinions and like my ideas of what Christianity was. Hey Frank, how's it going? Frank is joined the night gang as usual. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the gang. All right. So this is going to be a long night, but we'll see. Let's see how far this goes. So in this case, I'm actually taking photos really quickly of the biblical references because it's quicker and it's better to use your own photographs in this kind of case. Okay. So there we go. Okay, and then I'm going to airdrop this to myself and we'll get moving. Whew. Okay, cool. Found where that was located. That's good. Okay, so we got that airdropped, and now I can actually get into it. Okay, and then this is going to be here. Come on, there we go. Okay, so that's what I just airdropped in. All right. So, gonna draw my grid. Again, like these pages coming up are really simple. If you guys saw the last live stream that I did, it's basically like I'm not diverging like an incredible amount from a 9-panel grid for these, because I think for the story, I think that it's important as artists to have like a reason for everything you do. Strangely enough, like a reason beyond just like because it looks cool or whatever, you know. I think like a justification, especially when you're illustrating stories, even if they're your own, for why you're choosing to lay out a page you're choosing to do, it is a really good thing to seek and to consider. And so in this case, like I have a really clear justification and reason for using just a straight 9-panel grid, which is mainly I want the tempo of this to just be like verse, reflection, verse, reflection, verse, reflection. Like I don't want it to get overly complicated. So again, like I have a reason for like wanting to keep the layout for the tempo and for the story beat to kind of be in more of a traditional 9-panel. So, but if I didn't, I would consider a different layout. Let's see, look at the birds of the air. All right, that's what I need to fit in here. So we're going to find it to where it we're going to find this little look at the birds of the air verse. And I think that'll do it, kind of get it large enough. Okay, cool. So in this case, just to spare time too, I'm just straight up going to trace the biblical passages and then kind of have it tie in. Like on the previous page too, you can see that I use this device with basically just like a hand kind of highlighting the different areas. And that's where we're going to go. So here we go. First panel. All right. And I do want to make this a little bit smaller. There we go. And just over a little bit. Perfect. And just maybe a little bit more over. Frank was saying promoting tracing. I think in cases like where you're like basically replicating type from a book, and you want it to look exactly like that book, yeah, go for it, Trace. Okay, so let's see here. Not be anxious. Actually, a good example of this exact approach that I'm using here is Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. She does this. I actually really liked how she did this. In Fun Home, like whenever she cites passages from a book, she'd have like hand kind of traced sections of different classical books. And I think it's a pretty smart way to do a quote. Looks a lot better when it's hand done than just like photocopied in there or something like that. So yeah. Okay, so here we go. Cannot serve So this is going to take a little bit to get this whole section kind of ironed out. But I think it's going to be worthwhile. So, okay. Let's see. Look at the birds of the air. Value then they is where this is going to end. So we're going to put the good old finger here. It's sort of like going to be looking towards the passage. And then just add a little bit of shadow on this finger. And the device I was using on the previous page too was like basically I'm going to do like an old-timey sort of highlight. I don't know what the term is, but it's like a vignette that they used to do in old movies when like they would do like a highlight of a certain text area. Okay. So this will not be the most exciting thing, but we will see how far we can get. I'm actually pretty excited about getting further on these two. Anxious. And then, sweet. Paul Pate said, hey, can't believe I'm still awake. What time is it for you, Paul? Good seeing you too, man. What you working on? You working on comics? Paul is like a machine. He's always working on comics. Okay, so this is going to say, this is just basically a passage, but the highlight passage here that, once again, I'm going to highlight with like a vignette is the one that starts at, look at the birds of the air. So everything else is going to be like grayed out, and that will make sense in a second. You still slop comic in progress. It's awesome. I'm actually pretty fascinated with that comic premise. I guess Paul is working on a comic about like funk hip hop called Slop. It's like I guess like a hybrid, like a new form of music, which I think is pretty interesting. Sounds kind of cool. What? Almost sounds like something like I would put like To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. Would that be considered slop? I'm just curious, dude. because that album is funky as all hell. It's a good one too. Paul was like, I was just tracing some letters like that today. Yeah, it's a good way to do it, man. What's funny is for like a rough, I guess it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm trying to make really tight roughs so they can spare me the work when it gets to the final. So we're just basically going to do this till we get through the entire passage. Like I said, I love this device for kind of highlighting like a newspaper or book that somebody's reading. It's a lot more interesting than just slapping it on there. More than food. Is this your spec comic or 2 stories? So the speculative comic, the pitch project is done. That's being sent out by my literary agent, which I'm pretty stoked about. So luckily I finished those pitch pages and now I am able to get back to 2 stories. So this is from book 2 and this is toward the end like of the thumbnails / roughs, which I'm pretty excited about because once I kind of have this section done, once I have this section done, I'm basically looking at, type layout with panel borders, and then basically trying to think of anything else like, so then photo references, pencils, and final inks. So it's about a third. Like if I get through this process, I think I'm about a third of the way through the bulk of the work for the book, which is pretty cool. Usually I would do like a thumbnail, then proceed to do all the different stages of the page and then do that every single page. But this time I'm trying to batch it and I'm hoping that that ends up saving me time and work in the end. Who knows? But my idea is to try to be a little more efficient so that I can get it done in less than 5 years. The first book took me about 5 years, and I'm hoping this one will not take me 5 years. So who knows? It's going to take what it takes, but I think I can potentially get it done a lot quicker in the way that I'm doing right now. So, oh my goodness, did not want that shortcut. All right. Reap. Nor. So here we go. We're getting a little further. And yet, your heavenly Father. Okay. Here we go. All right. So how far are you on the slop thing? Kind of curious. It sounded like a big project, is all. What book is which from? The text? This is from Matthew in the Bible. It's like Matthew 6:25 and through like I think 30 or something. Wow, you're about halfway through. That's pretty awesome, man. Frank said Matthew is his favorite book. Mine is Ecclesiastes, which is like um, a super depressing book. Then so this is like a section of the book that starts talking about my faith and belief and like kind of gets into some stuff. Frank just quoted Living on a Prayer, the song, because he said, "You're halfway there, Paul." Whoa. I'm loving that. Um, yeah. So let's see here. Being all right. I'm kind of excited about uh, the next set of panels, though. I think these will be fun. Like this right now feels a little tedious, but the next few panels should be fun. Frank said it's because of Matt Smith that he named his kid Matthew, but let him think it's because of the Bible. Matt Smith was the best doctor, in my opinion. I really enjoyed his run as the doctor. I don't know. I felt like he fit that quirky professor vibe. Um, I don't know. But he brought like a fun to it. I thought he did a good job as the doctor. Plus, I liked that run a lot. I actually felt like Doctor Who was really hitting a high note there. I actually need to catch up on the rest of the Doctors. Paul was like, "So when you ink this, you're going to do all those letters again?" Yep. And when I pencil it as well. So this is literally my thumbnail. So I know this is like kind of part of my process that's insane, where it's like, why spend this time? But I do think the more I get done in the thumbnail state, the more I am close to finished. But that might be insanity. But yeah, because when it comes to inking the pages to, that's all going to be by hand. So all that fun, good times. So the lilies. And then Paul just called that insane in the membrane. And Frank was saying his middle name is Jesus or Jesus. Is that biblical? It is funny. A lot of names have like Hebrew origins. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, we are almost done with this thumbnail of this one awesome panel. Spin. So Paul, like what time is it for you, dude? It's got to be crazy late because you're on the East Coast, I think. Yet. So we got tell and midnight. Midnight 30. So it's like a 4 hour difference. Or is that me doing math badly? I think that's 4 hours from 9. 3 hours. 3 hour difference. My brain. Yeah, that's about the time I'll probably be wrapping. It's about the time I'll be wrapping this page, probably. That is awesome, Paul. I envy that. I have weird hours. Like I would say like yesterday, I did end up going to sleep like around 9, which made me have to play catch up today. So I did a day stream, which I rarely ever do, but I was like, I got to work on my comic during the day to catch up. Close. But right now, our time is 9:42, so it's not that late yet. But being that this is the stream, we do. Oh, and then Paul said he was born in Houston, so that's funny. Like we've all lived in Texas at some point. I lived in Texas for about 2 or 3 years. I know it's like some of my first memories that I recall are from Texas because I lived there when I was about 5 to 6. And I think we moved there when I was like 3 or 4. So we lived there for a good chunk of time outside of Fort Worth. It was an interesting area. I think I have no idea what I would think living in Texas now. I think I could probably hang in Austin. Austin sounds like my speed. But then again, I think there's good people wherever you move or wherever you live. That's one thing I've noticed, like when you travel, is like surprisingly, like there are a lot of good people in a lot of cities and states. Um, Started work at 5:45 a.m. this past week. That's pretty smart, man. That might actually be. Are you talking about working on your comics? That's pretty. That's pretty smart. Frank was saying I'd melt in his area. I don't know if I would melt. Are you talking about because of the heat? Because, like, dude, I live in the Antelope Valley, which is like super hot. Or do you mean melt just like melt from the politics? um, kind of curious about that. But I will say, like, where I live, it's like it gets pretty darn hot here. Um, okay, so what am I highlighting here? It's going to be okay. It starts at look. So about here is where I'm going to have the old school thing. And then it's going to end at are you of not more value than they? So it's going to end about here. Okay, cool. Woohoo. All that text just to be blocked over. I do also want to do a little bit. But yeah, I don't think the heat would kill me too much because like I said, it's California is nice, but I literally live in like a little bit away from Bakersfield, so like the Mojave Desert. So we get into the hundreds. Now, where I would die of heat is where Scott lives, like Arizona. Arizona heat's like a whole different kind of heat. I think I could do Texas heat. Like, ironically, I think some people who think it's hot in Texas, if they came to like my part of California, they'd be like, "Oh crap, I can't do it," because it gets really hot here. But Arizona, man, that dude, I can't even. Um, we had a tornado warning and lots of rain today. I thought I was going to have to make another How I Survived video. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I'd survive Texas just because of all the disasters and craziness. We have our occasional fire or earthquake in SoCal, but that's about it. Thanks, Paul. I'm glad you think it looks really neat. I'm feeling all right about it. Okay, so let's get to the next section, which is going to be okay. Now we're going to talk about Cursive, one of my favorite bands. Oh, thought we were. The nice thing about these pages is I tend to get crazy and sort of like experimental with my page layouts, but this next section is not because of the beats in the story. I really want it to just be 9-panel grid. Just kind of hang with that and see where it goes. Because it's kind of doing this like where it'll have a verse and then it's going to kind of get into like a reaction to that. So this reminded me. Song I loved. All right, so we've got this. Yeah, Texas gets crazy with weather though. I think I don't know. California definitely has its own things. Like we definitely have a lot of earthquakes. SoCal, it's a pretty common thing to kind of deal with stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess maybe you just get used to the you get used to the weather you live near. So like I think for a lot of people, like probably earthquakes are really scary. But if you live in California, it's like, nah, it's an earthquake. I mean, not that they're not scary, like they definitely are, but it's just less intimidating because we're around it all the time. So if it happens, it's not like a big like, oh, what's going on? It's like, oh, okay, it's an earthquake. But whereas like a tornado sounds scary as hell because I'm not familiar with it. So I'm wondering if it's kind of the same thing where if you like live around tornadoes and stuff like that, you just kind of you're like, yeah, but that's the area. Frank just can't catch a break from the weather wizards, says Jake. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so let's see here. I loved. Okay. And hi, Jake. How's it going? How are your comics coming, man? Okay, are you. Okay. And then this is going to be Cursive Song I Loved. So this is going to bring us back to the room that it's taking place in. So I want to kind of go back to a panel just to find out. I'm pretty sure it's on a couch, but again, since we're working sequentially, we want to make sure we're being consistent. I think that'll give me a hint of the location. Yes, it does. And this one I can kind of take any sort of tack to it. Maybe we can do like a lower one. I actually like that idea. Maybe it's yeah, I actually like that. This will be like the hand. It's the left hand that's going to be doing this. And the right hand. I'm going to have myself doing the Mr. Horse kind of thing. I don't know if you guys remember Mr. Horse from Ren and Stimpy. There's a character named Mr. Horse who would often have like really bad accidents befall him, and then he'd be asked like, I think at one point he's asked by like a person in the press, like, "Sir, you fell from a 5-story building. How are you doing it? And, how do you say that went?" And he'd be like, and then be like, "No, sir, I didn't like it." Frank was saying that's why I've been making sure I'm active online. If I go silent, all of a sudden someone will investigate and make sure I'm still kicking. It's a good point, man. All right. So let's see here. Okay, and we're going to draw. I want this to be more kind of from a downward angle. Okay. More inquisitive. All right, so here we go. Jake was saying he needs to hit the hay bale and eat my shorts. That's hilarious. I'm assuming that means you need to crash. So have a good night, Jake. Thanks for stopping by, man. All right, so here we go. The eating my shorts is the only familiarity I have with that is like Bart Simpson. Okay. This is going to be, let's see. Yeah, that would be it. Okay. Definitely. These are those moments where it's good that it's a thumbnail. Let's see. Okay. And Frank was justifiably saying, "Don't have a cow, man." Yeah, Ren and Stimpy was great. The Simpsons are great. I feel like the first few seasons of Ren and Stimpy still stick in my head pretty well too. From all the Okay. And here I'm working on this.
Josh?
Yeah?
I have to go now.
Okay.
If Benji needs something, please attend to him.
Yeah, of course. So my wife's heading to pick up my sister-in-law, who's going to come hang out over the weekend. So she was just giving me a heads up if the kid is awake or asking for anything to kind of keep an eye out. And I shall. So let's see here. He was saying to eat his shorts. I was thinking he was going to eat his own shorts while he slept. I was so confused. Me too. Kind of a strange business, this eating of shorts. Let's see here. Okay. So there we go. And this will get into the Cursive song. Cursive's a great band. They had some excellent albums. I think the one that I'm referencing here was on an album called Happy Hollow. And the thing I love about their albums as a band, like first off, they're like post-hardcore, which I love as like a genre. And then they're on Saddle. Oh, nice. Somebody said, "What's with all these outdated sayings?" 21 Skidoo. We made some kind of crazy outdated sayings, actually, a whole bunch of them on our last stream. So I'm wondering if that's like a deep cut from the last stream where I was making a bunch of outdated references. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, that's true. Eating it could be Norwegian shorts. 22 skidoo. I love all this stuff. Very funny, you guys. All right, so but yeah, like anyhow, at the time, especially that this was written about, I was like a huge Cursive fan. I think of bands, I've probably seen them live more than any band actually. And I still think like I'd put like the Ugly Oregon on like my top albums list. Maybe that exposes my emo side, but I absolutely love that band. That's the Cat's Pajamas. Keep on trucking at some person. I think, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Keep on Trucking was created by Robert Crumb when he was working for, let's see, he was working for a greeting card company. And so literally, I think that phrase, I think that was his. So if you guys are ever bored, you should look that up. See if that was an R. Crumb creation. I'm pretty sure it was. Okay, so here we go. Paul can really cut a rug. Let's 86 it out of here and cut a rug, see? The coppers will never catch us. Coppers, too. Coppers is an outdated term. I haven't really heard anyone calling the police coppers. Although I have to admit, like, it would be really fun. Like, I've always wanted to do a comic that takes place. It's about like the mob and like the 5 Points era, like at its peak in like the 40s or 50s. I always thought that would be fun, just to have that like crazy old timey. All right, so let's see here. This is gonna say about that song. The song. Here I'm gonna try to William Shatner this. The song asked why we couldn't just be comfortable being animals. I can't do a good Shatner though. That was a terrible Shatner. But I do feel like something about William Shatner's cadence when he's talking, like there's something about the process of writing text that reminds me of William Shatner, because you have to pause naturally as you're writing. And I feel like he kind of speaks like he's writing, like his delivery. And then my wife and I on the William Shatner rant have been watching like old classic episodes of Columbo. Like we got like the boxed set of like all the Columbo episodes, and I had totally forgotten like William Shatner was in one, and it's excellent. I think Shatner's pretty rad. The odds of me cutting a rug are slim to none. Okay. Yeah, Frank knows what I'm saying. The Vulcans are very logical. All right, so let's see here. Why we couldn't just be comfortable. All right, so what do we got here going on in the chat? Some very interesting things. Captain Kirk was awesome. Some person I like to listen to old radio shows, The Shadow, Abbott and Costello, and The Lone Ranger. Oh, dude, there is. Oh my gosh, now I'm blanking out on the character, but it's like I can actually remember. It's the guy from the Maltese Falcon, the character from the Maltese Falcon. But there's a whole series of these hard boiled radio programs where I literally have memorized the intro, where it's like crime is a sucker's road, and it only leads to two or three possible outcomes: the prison, the gutter, the grave. And they're so good, and they're just like these hard boiled. I'm gonna blank. It bums me out that I'm blanking out on who the hard boiled detective is, because it's like the iconic hard boiled detective. I'm gonna have to look it up. Let's see. I'll just look up crime is a sucker's road. Okay. And it's an old radios. Thank you. Thank you, Google. The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. So if you can get those old radio programs of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, they're so good. They're excellent. They're like really exciting and entertaining and hilarious. And they use like the old gimmicky formula, but like if you're into old timey radio programs, dude, it's like it's just it is so good. And it's funny too, because it'll be like, if you get a good collection of them, like it'll cut in and be like have an ad for like cigarettes or whiskey. Like it's pretty amazing. I absolutely love them. But yeah. And also like whenever somebody gets punched, it's just like it sounds like brutal, like just like and I think like almost every single Philip Marlowe story, he gets like knocked out like almost every episode. Like you would think if this guy were a real dude, he would have like so much brain damage just from the amount of times he gets knocked out and like drugged or whatever, or like knocked over the head with a gun or whatever it is. It's like the amount of concussions that yeah, anyhow. So Philip Marlowe is up there for old radio. Groucho Marx is great too. I love that stuff. But yeah, I think I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure the Philip Marlowe ones were initially I got into them because there was like this podcast. I think it was called like Old Time Radio or something, and they would rerun all of the classic Philip Marlowe. And then my wife actually bought me a CD like collection of all of them that I can listen to in my car. So good, so good. So anyhow, I dig it. That's probably my favorite. And I think for like hard boiled detective stories, like Philip Marlowe is just like the quintessential like hard boiled thing. It's like Frank Miller's Sin City is like a riff on that. Pretty much all of the kind of detective stories all kind of come from that. A lot of the hard boiled detective stuff. Okay. What can I use for imagery here? Let's see. Just trying to think of a way to. All right. I think I have an idea. I think I'm just going to I'm going to just draw some animals here. We'll see how far that goes. Let me take care of one little thing. I definitely want to do that. Okay. So I got that taken care of. Dashiell Hammett, dude. That's great stuff too. I also I absolutely love the just old timey slang is great. There's something so excellent about old timey slang. Blue coal is the best charcoal. Let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna have this just be monkeys here. I'm lost on the blue coal thing. Maybe there's a bit I'm missing here. There's probably a joke there that I'm completely unaware of. Oh, okay. If you listen to that's awesome. The Shadow apparently has blue coal. It's amazing. The Shadow is great too. That's a great radio play. I think I got too into detail on that face there. It's too big, so I'm going to have to reduce that head. Here we go. Do 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 do. Okay, let's see. Get some ape business going on here. And then Paul was asking, have I written out the comic and do I have a script? Yes, I am working from a script. So this is my script, and I'm through most of it. I think I have about a little over 3.5 pages left to comp out, which is pretty cool. So the process that I use for 2 stories too is to like script out the entire book, and then when I did 2 stories book 1, I would then break it down as I went. So I would do like thumbnails for a page, and then I would tighten the page, do pencils, get photo reference, all of that, ink it, and then I'd start page 2. In this case, I'm doing it a little differently, where I scripted out the whole book. And I had my overall plot layout, but I would just script out chapter by chapter, and then when I got to a new chapter, script a new chapter. In this case, I have the full script for the second book done. And then now what I'm doing is just roughing the entire book. And then from there, I'll get to like finished and stuff like that. But pre-scripting to me has become like a really essential thing, because it allows me to get like editorial feedback before I kind of get into a book, fill all the plot holes. and just make sure that what I'm working on is not like going to be just laboring on a book for years that may not work. So in this case, it's like I feel really confident in the script. I've had it looked at by a lot of people that I really trust who've given me feedback. Actually, my lit agent like looked it over too and had me kind of expand some areas, and kind of expand some characters too. So it's like it to me, I think I really do think it's important. Like I know everybody works differently, but I feel like for me, scripting out the book first was like super important. Um, and like it was like a game changer because I did a book before called Jacob's Apartment where I kind of had the rough plot worked out, and that took quite a few years too. That was like a comic that I have finished, but I don't know if I will publish. But I learned a lot from it, and that was one of the most important things I learned was like pre-scripting. Was something I should have done with that book. I had like my story beats worked out and stuff, but I was just kind of writing it as I went. And it kind of worked, but it just made it a much more laborious process than it needed to be. So for me, I work a lot better if I have like the full thing worked out, you know? So that's kind of, I hope that's a good answer to what you're asking, Paul. Yeah. Do you script out yours first? Like for me, I think it's been a game changer. Like if I recommended working on a graphic novel to anyone, that would be something I would definitely want to do. But the nice thing is, like things can always change. But in general, yeah, I have a full script. I love that idea of like a time lapse of a kind of old school spirit inspired comic character with like an old timey voice. Back when Kevin Cross and I used to do a podcast called Big Illustration Party Time, we did an episode, like an entire episode that I think was done like an old timey war propaganda ad where it's like, boys battling in the blue, like that kind of thing. And it had like the old school, like army marching kind of themes and stuff. It was fun to do with a bunch of alliteration, of course, because that's how they used to write those newsreel bits, you know? So anyhow, fun times, but yeah, I'm all about that. Let's see. Is a comic book script similar to writing a movie or TV script? Yes and no. Like in a film, I forget what the rules are for like the minutes of film per script page, but generally, like with comics, I think depending on how you're blocking it out, to me, I've found for myself, I usually for every page of script, it's at minimum like 4 pages of comics. Sometimes that'll change, but in general, like 1 page of script equals 4 pages of comics. And so, but the neat thing about comics and like the kind of cool thing about comics is I don't think there is like a formalized script. I definitely think you're probably like, to me, I tend to try to treat the dialogue, or in this case, since it's a first person narrative, I kind of try to keep that in mind, you know, because like, and really polish that. But if it's just like a descriptive thing, that's not going to end up in the text of the book, then I will, you know, be a little looser with the writing there. But in general, like the neat thing about comics is like there really is no set in stone way of writing a comic script. From the people I've met, and I've met people who work for like big publishers, it's a little looser. I think they do tend to treat it like a film script. But then there's guys like Alan Moore who like would literally thumbnail like he would give a script to an artist, but with like thumbnails that kind of worked out beat for beat, shot for shot, like how he wanted it to appear. From what I've heard, so. But yeah, I totally agree with that that method, because you're right, it can lead to dead end roads. And I don't mind diverging. Like I even have a slightly rambly style of writing because I'm kind of a rambly person. But one thing I pride myself in with this book is I don't think I have any rambly dead ends. Like even the rambling is leading somewhere and furthering the narrative. And like by the time it finishes, I think people will have like a moment of like aha and a sense of conclusion and stuff. Because I tried not to have any stray ends to the plot. Like everything in there has intention. But yeah, it's so easy. I have written comics before where I just kind of script it as I go, and that has never been a good method for me. I actually think Frank is talking about like his spirit inspired character. I think that sounds super fun. So, all right. We are at the hour mark, as usual. For anybody who watches these live streams, I generally will burn out if I just go straight through an hour. And I don't know what it is, like my internal clock or whatever, but like the hour mark's a good time for me to stand up, stretch, get a refill of my coffee, and that usually lasts about 20 seconds. And if you're debating whether that's true, you're one of the people watching, you're like, I don't know if I want to stick around for like 20 seconds. I think anybody who watches these streams a lot can attest that's usually about the length of the break. It usually doesn't exceed like 20 to 30 seconds. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go take my little hour break. And by hour, I'm not going to break for an hour, just the break that I do at the hour mark. And then we'll kind of see where we go from there. But so far, I think I'm about a third through the page. And I think this actually could be getting close. Actually, you know what's crazy? Before I break, let me just see. I also do weird stuff when I'm working on my scripts, like underline parts that I've finished, and then I literally fold the page so I don't get distracted. There's like this whole weird ritual way that I break down a script, and that's kind of what I'm doing here, is like trying to kind of block out how it's going to look on the final, so that when I start getting into the serious work, I have like a roadmap. All right, so I'm almost halfway through this page, which is kind of insane. So I'm actually making a little more progress than I thought I would today. All right, so I'll be right back, and then see you guys in about 20 seconds. Gotta stretch. Okay. Get some coffee too. let's see. And as you can hear, we're in a relatively old house with squeaky doors that I need to probably put some Rust-Oleum or something on them. Because like every door in this house is very squeaky. All right, let's see here. But I am thankful to have a house, so that is a plus amid all this madness. All right, so let's get into this business. I am really happy to have a new webcam, which, like I said, is gonna. I think I said this on the last stream, but it's pretty exciting because that means when I get to inking, I'll be able to have my phone like directly pointing at what I'm drawing, and then also have like a similar setup to what we have now on the live streams, which I think will be really exciting as it's going. And then Frank was saying, did Benji find his giant Lego figures? Yes, he did. Benji was looking for these giant, he has big Legos and then small Legos. And lately he's been building these giant characters out of his bigger Legos. And he'll build like these really cool, just like his imagination's gone wild at this age. It's really fun. 7 is fun. I like anybody who's a new parent or whatever, just know like 7 is a super awesome age to have a kid. And so we've been really enjoying it. But like the cool thing about 7 so far, and he's getting closer to like getting, we're getting closer. So he's on the latter half of 7. But it's like it's just been so cool seeing his imagination go wild, where he'll play games and like the characters are alive, and he watches a TV show and he wants to play it. Like it's really cool. It's just neat to see. All right, got my my coffee refill, and now I have to get back into another piece of scripture, and I think that's it for the scripture stuff. So let's see. I think actually, okay, so this is going to, I think it's pulling from the same piece. So let me see if I have that in there. I think, let's see if that's in there. Because it's supposed to be which of you, yeah, this is going to have like the lilies of the field thing. Which is funny because Corey's like mentioned that verse like a million times when we've had streams. Which is interesting. Okay. It's supposed to be this, consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Okay, cool. Perfect. That works out. So I still have to do some type business, but it shouldn't be as bad. At least I don't have to take the photo. Another picture. Okay, did I do the height right on this? I think I did. Okay, so I want to definitely get into a little bit more height. Let me see how I did on this. The math of this. Does this work out? Yes, it does. It worked out perfectly. Okay. So in this case, I'm gonna, oh, come on. Come on. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna just kind of really quickly blot that out, and we're gonna get into it all over again. And I think this is gonna be a similar thing. And then Corey was saying, I love that verse. I wrote an entire lecture on it. Yeah, it was a huge one for me. at this point, as you will see in the story. A lot of these verses are pretty key. Let's see here. So the whole point of me, in like one of the fine lines I have to dance here as a person writing an autobiographical book that's talking about how I became a Christian as part of the story beat. It's like part of the resolution. Is like finding a way to do it that hopefully doesn't feel like a chick tract or like I'm preaching, because I'm definitely not trying to do that in this book. And I think anybody who reads the book hopefully will get that impression where it's like I'm not trying to make converts, but it's like it's an interesting line to dance where you're like trying to talk about your own experience and like talk about it openly, but like at the same time, like I don't want to go the chick tract route with it. And so it's like it's just like a fine line to dance as a Christian, and I find it really challenging, but it's a fun challenge. Like I said, I feel like half the time. Oh, dude. Yeah, Corey, how was that second vaccine shot, dude? You just had it. Because that put me out for like a day or so. I'm pretty excited though. I can tell you from this end, like even if you're having like the fever and all that nonsense, like here's the cool thing. Come Monday, like I'll respect local mandates and stuff like that request masks, but according to the CDC, like literally like this Monday, I am good to like be pretty much like without a mask wherever. Like I can meet with family, I can hug people. Like it's kind of, I'm really excited about that. Like I could have a barbecue and have all my friends who've been vaccinated over. Like it's like it's surreal how excited I am about like it. So I could definitely say like it messed me up for like 2 days. Paul was saying it messed him up for a day. For me, it was 48 hours. I was one of the like unlucky people who got it the 48. But from what I've read, it sounds like that's like the worst case scenario. And it's like, dude, 48 hours of feeling like crap, but then like being able to in 2 weeks from that second shot, like hang out with people and like be able to have like community with people. Like to me, like that's 100% worth it. I feel like people who aren't getting that thing are like totally missing out on being able to like safely get kind of back to normal. It's sort of exciting, and it's weird to me that there are people who like hesitate on that. Okay, so here we go. That being said, let's see here. Can't get a full breath and I'm kind of achy. Did you get it today, dude? I'm curious. Yeah, for me it was just like aches and like a really bad fever and just being like in and out of like sleep. But like I said, fully worth it. I also got this weird side effect that I read online with both shots. And it freaked me out for a second where I tasted copper. Like it tasted like I just put a penny in my mouth. And it was the weirdest thing. And I looked it up and it turns out there's just like a very small percentage of the population that for some reason like tastes like their taste buds just taste like copper for about an hour. And I was like, oh, okay. But like I said, I'll take those side effects like, for, yeah. And then some person, who is some person? Who is that? I'm curious. But anyhow, they said got the J&J. It messed me up for the night. Yeah. It's like, what's one night versus like, like potentially like death or like a year of like whatever, crazy side effects and stuff like that. And then little bit of a Christmas Story reference there about drinking Ovaltine. Kayaking all day after you got it. Sun helped save off the rest of the side effects. Yeah, the day after is not too bad. Like for me, it was all. Well, I don't know if it was the day after. The next day, the second day was the worst for me. First day, I just took a nap. Felt okay. Most of the day, I felt fine till it was about like we got our shot at like 1, and then it was about 11 or 12 where it was just like kicked in, and it's hard to sleep. And then for like the rest of the week, I don't know why, but I had trouble like sleeping. So like I couldn't sleep for a little bit. But like I said, whatever the side effects, I kind of think they're worth it, you know? So speaking of, I got to write this. So, and which of you by being anxious? This is a great verse, actually. I also think it's relevant to this book and kind of what we were going through because, like, my wife, I talk about it in the book about panic disorder, and she was suffering from panic disorder, and it's like this verse is very good for people who suffer from anxiety. So yeah, so let's see here. Which of you by being anxious? Can have a single span. Anxious about clothing. Lilies, how they grow, neither toil nor spin. Yeah. Gotta shrink it down just a little bit more. I think I'm gonna actually have this one kind of more like that, just to kind of change it up. Okay. And then it's going to end on the, like one of these. Okay. So we're going to have, this one's going to have the thumb again, or the finger. This isn't going to be a thumb. Just be a finger. This is going to be so weird to have so many panels with just a finger. Probably save a lot of time by zooming in on a specific verse. That's sort of what I'm doing. Also, these are broken. Like to me, I'm not really concerned about saving time. Like I'm concerned about like the beats and the story being a little more relevant. So, and I am totally, look at that. There's a finger for you. I'm just kidding. That was literally in response to Frank being like, Josh is giving us the finger. I have a good friend who's like one of the funniest people you'll see in the world. Who like, so like one of my favorite bands. This is so funny because here I am like wearing a Minor Threat shirt and I'm all into punk rock and stuff. But it's like let's see here. Yeah, I do. By the way, I also do plenty of art that's like super time constrained, deadline oriented art for my day job. So it's like when I'm working on my personal project, my goal is to make it the best I can. And sometimes that means like not taking shortcuts. But then again, there's some things I do that maybe are like, you know, unnecessarily like for instance, the way I'm going about these thumbnails, maybe I'm spending too much time. We'll kind of have to see when it gets to like the final, because this is somewhat of an experiment trying to make really tight thumbnails so that the end process is a little bit quicker. Oh yeah, so anyhow, I was going on this rant about so I have a friend who like, so I even though I'm like all into punk rock, like I really love Simon and Garfunkel. Like I grew up listening to Simon and Garfunkel. I think they're really poetic and good. and just like some of the best music. And I just like emotionally am moved by their music, and not like Bridge Over Troubled Water. Like that's actually one of my least favorite songs by them. But or like Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard, although that's still a fun song. It's just like, and they're both good songs, but it's like, like to me, I get really moved by their music. But I have a friend who every time we listen, like we'll drive in a car listening to like The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel, and notoriously it has like a part of it that says like lie lie lie, and then there's like a drum beat that goes and it's just like, it's kind of over the top, very produced, but every time it hits that like note, it just goes like it's just like this exploding drum that just comes out of nowhere. My friend will literally just hold up 2 middle fingers, so it'll be like lie 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 like it's very funny. So the next time you ever listen to The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel, just imagine 2 middle fingers flying up in the air every time it goes la la la. Yeah. So anyhow, just thought I'd share that. That's a deep, wonderful thing to talk about whilst quoting scripture. Oh man. I have to admit, I'm pretty lucky there are no like blasphemy laws, because I would probably be beheaded. Paul was saying, seems like overkill, but I love your first book, so I'm not going to try and tell you how to operate. Yeah, I mean, I overkill a little bit. Technically, I probably could save a lot of time not hand lettering too. But I like to hand letter everything. I don't know. It's like it's hard to explain, but I feel like when I approach 2 stories, I approach it more like just, it's going to sound snotty, and it's not, but it's just like in my head, 2 stories is art, and I need to treat it like art. If I treat it like commerce, like commercial art, like it just, I don't think it's going to have the same impact that I'm hoping the first book will have, and the second book. So we'll see. Oh, Frank is, dude, Frank, you're like the ultimate hype man in the sense of like helping people sell their wares. But I will take you up on that. You lined it up, and now I'm going to knock it down. So, okay. So Frank has set me up for my sales pitch here. I hear the price of the first 2 stories has been slashed. It has. I have no idea how they're getting away with this. I'm tempted to like email my publisher and be like, dude, what is going on with the price? Because it's going to make it hard for me when I like start pitching it, which is cool because Monday I can actually start doing this, like going to stores, selling copies of 2 stories to those stores, those comic book shops, and setting up signings and possibly like starting to look into conventions and booking time with that. But literally, like Frank is saying here, the price is super low. It for some reason it's like, so it retails for $19.99, and right now it's less than $9 on Amazon. And you can get it on any online store, but for some reason on Amazon, I don't know if they're doing price gouging or whatever to like take out competitors. I have no idea, but I can tell you that it's under $9 for that. So yeah, so if you liked 2 stories, you want to get your friend a copy. If you have not yet read 2 stories, now is a really good time to pick it up, and Amazon's a good place to get it because you'll save a crap load of money. And if you have like a Prime, then you're literally like out, maybe $9 total. That's pretty cool. So I was really shocked by that. So yeah. And he was saying cheaper printers. I don't think so. It's still beautifully printed. It's just yeah, I don't know. For some reason the price is down. So I do actually have to talk to my publisher and see what's going on with that. Like maybe they're doing it as a loss leader to improve the sales. I have no idea. But I like to pass on that to people. So like my take on it is like, hey, if it's like $9, I want to save you guys money, and I also want to sell this book. So hey, it's a win-win. And I could guide you to places where it'll cost you more, but frankly, and maybe I'll get a bigger cut. But frankly, I want to guide people to the best deal on it, because my goal with making these comics is not to make a crap load of money. It's just to hopefully get more books out there and have more people read it. So anyhow, that's my long-winded picking up the pitch as Frank put it down. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not really sure why the prices fluctuate like that, but I will say it's good for people who want to buy the book. So yeah, so go buy 2 Stories, Joshua Kemble, Amazon. There's a link in the notes, the show notes section. Okay, that was a really crazy pitch, but I think it's fair. I'm being honest. So there's that. Okay, so very exciting. Again, just kind of getting this type worked out and blocked out. Then clothing. Look. Okay. Okay, at the birds. So this is the 4th panel on this page. And I think it'll be pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy that so far we're about an hour and a half in. And in theory, almost halfway through the page. So that's pretty good. That means that there is a likelihood that tonight I might actually get to sleep before midnight. I do wonder about this. That's actually a good point. Buy 2 copies of 2 Stories, one for you and one for a friend dealing with depression. Responsibly, right? Like it's definitely not a happy book, but I do think the main purpose of my book is to talk openly about depression, and like as it'll be made clear at the end of this book, it's not like my faith helped with dealing with depression, but it's not like it was like a cure-all where suddenly I like woke up one day and was like, I do not have depression. Like it definitely is like a constant thing that I work at. And as I found out through my son, I think some of the depression that I deal with personally might be tied into like autism, because my son is autistic. And from reading about his autism, I've talked about this openly on the stream before. I think that I very likely am autistic. There's just certain things that I've learned from like watching him, like certain traits and behavior traits, and definitely like some internal things that people with autism talk about very openly, that I've just been like, oh my gosh, that's me. And it's been really interesting and mind opening a little bit. And I definitely think that some of the depression that I deal with like actually has a little bit of a tie-in with it. And then Frank was saying, I'm part of a support group. I'm thinking of getting it to donate to the group. That's cool. Yeah, I don't profess that the book is like a cure-all for depression, but it's going to be a rare book in the sense that a lot of books really shy away from the topic. And so for me, I think one of the things that made me feel compelled to write the book was to write a really candid story that would talk very openly about it and not like sugarcoat it. And hopefully by sharing that story, it just hopefully would make people feel less alone as they go through it. Because I think one of the most isolating things when you're struggling with depression, I think one of the hardest things for people to go through is just like the feeling of isolation, like the feeling that you're alone. And like, I definitely hope that Two Stories can be a book that would hopefully, first and foremost, like tell a good story. But secondly, like really, hopefully help people understand that they're not alone in their experiences. Because I think that's one of the worst things about kind of going through any sort of severe depression, is just feeling like you're insane and that like no one understands you and no one gets you and nobody's been through what you're going through. You know, I think there is something to that kind of thing. So. And then Paul was saying, I have a copy of the first book and it is so good. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm hoping to deliver on the second book too. So hopefully it meets the same quality and can kind of hopefully resonate with people. So, but it's a hard slog making these things, as you guys know. Single. But yeah, so that's one of the things. I also wanted to write a book as a Christian that dealt with those issues head on and didn't like sugarcoat the world. Because I feel like a lot of books written by Christians or songs and music written by Christians sort of like wind up going like a Thomas Kincaid-ish route with stuff, where they'll sort of paint this world with happy cottages and sort of not depict like the world as it is and people as they are. And so I felt like it would be good to have a book. And then Frank was saying, when the second book comes out, should we wait till it's $9? I don't know. I'm hoping not, but I mean, it is one of those things where I feel bad, man, for anybody who had to pay more. But then again, I think it's worth $19.99. So I think really at the end of the day, the $9 thing is just it's a way for other people to luck out. But yeah, please don't wait till it's on discount when the second book comes in, because I'm gonna need those pre-orders, man. Hopefully. Let's see. I will say one cool thing is you guys who have bought the book and read it, like it does make a huge difference with indies. It's shocking how much of a difference it's shocking how much of a difference like one order makes when it comes to like sales numbers. I think it's just kind of cool. And I haven't been able to see the final numbers. I've just been paying attention to like the rankings, but it's neat. It's like there have been days where I've been in like the top 100 literary graphic novels list And that's sincerely just because people like you guys like went and picked it up and hopefully like talked about it to a friend or something like that, and it's actually made a difference. It's moved the needle, and that's super cool, as nerdy as that is. Oh my goodness. It is funny though. It's like moments like this when I'm doing rewriting text that's already there, just letter by letter, where I'm like, am I going about this in a really long, crazy way that could go quicker? It's funny how I think half the process, I don't know, Paul, maybe you have this too when you're working on comics, but I do think a lot of comic making is just trying to overcome fear and self-doubt, and just kind of trusting your instincts and being bold, and seeing a vision come through it. But it is shocking. But yeah, that's true, man. Frank, for $20 now, like what it retails for, you can get 2 copies now. It's crazy. And then Corey was saying I was happy to pay 20. Let's see here. But yeah, I think I'm pretty excited. I mean, I definitely can say if somebody's been on the fence though, I can't imagine it getting any cheaper than it is now. If it does, I'd be surprised. Paul was saying I'm falling out. Good night. Love you, cool cats. Yeah, dude, have a good night. It's been fun having you in the chats, and I hope that your comic about funk and hip hop goes really well. Paul's got a really cool style, and you guys should check out Paul's work, Paul Pate. And just look it up online, find his art. He's got some comics out that are really good. I recommend. Okay, so 29. So here we go. We're getting closer, guys, to this beast of a book. Make comics, not war. I don't know if you guys have seen the Monty Python Hell's Granny sketch. That to me is one of the funniest things. It's done like a BBC news segment where this guy's talking about a plague of gangs like attacking harmless people on the streets, and it's like, yes, gangs of vicious old ladies attacking young men. And so it's all about this gang of grandmas that are like basically going from scene to scene, just like beating up like these very strong looking men. And it kind of ends up revealing that they're called Hell's Grannies. And anyhow, they also graffiti on the wall like something like "Make tea, not love." Yeah. Anyhow, very funny. Monty Python's one of my favorite things. Not that I'm like unique in that. I think the interwebs kind of loves Python. And why wouldn't they? It's great humor. Okay, a raid like. How's your animation coming, Corey? Are you able to animate like in the haze? The COVID shot 2 haze? These. There we go. We're getting there. Look at this. Slow but steady, you guys. Slow but steady. But if. God. So Corey, maybe I need to check it again, but on your Instagram I saw the ship, and it was really cool. And then I also saw a post of the butterfly from your animation, but both look really cool. The ship is really awesome, the way it's rigged. The butterfly is really cool too. I like the kind of sparkle effect that's going on with that, and the gradient that's animated. It's very cool. Those are the last two I saw. Have I missed any? If there's been one since, let me know. But that ship is kind of crazy. The rig is really interesting. That looks like you're doing it using Z-Space for sure. Wow, I think I'll knock out over 30 seconds of animation today and have about 3 complete rigs done. Dude, killing it, Corey. That's awesome. Yeah, Corey is working on a pretty ambitious like music video project that it just looks like a ton of work, but it's also going to be super cool when it's done. A live. And then he was saying Guminelli illustrated that butterfly, and it took me 4 hours to rig and animate it. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, animation's nuts, but it's also very cool. Tomorrow. I think it'll be worth it though, man. And the one thing I think you did right with that is to pitch something you actually want to do, because I think at the end of the day, like, you're going to be a lot happier with that than had you just sort of given the client exactly what you think they wanted, and not just been like, dude, this is what you need and this is going to look good. Because inevitably when you're an artist and you're actually pursuing your own vision, it's going to be better than like some other person's crazy idea. I think when it's your own, it just inevitably is going to be a better product. So I'm excited to see that. You guys should check that out also on Corey's Instagram, Corey Kerr, on everything, coreykerr.com. Good friend of mine. Quite often comes on the stream, but I think he's working on rigging stuff, and I think that's hard to do when you're chatting. Yeah, the airship looks so rad, dude. I like the seconds, like the thing that kind of sells it on the last one you posted was like the second sail. So they have like pairs of sails, symmetrical sails that kind of sells the idea of it being like 3-dimensional. So it's like it's an illusion to make it look almost 3D, which I think Corey excels at that sort of thing. Okay, we're getting there, guys. I think this may be the last quote of scripture on this page, but who knows? But I do think for this to kind of work, it needs to repeat that device multiple times. Frank was saying, yeah, that butterfly didn't look like your style, so it makes sense that it was Guminelli. Yeah, for sure. But I think that's cool because you sort of, I've seen the boarded out video, and you sort of intended to have that little section of it like have a different style, like a more painterly style. And so I think that's smart to have Guminelli work on it, do that style. I think it actually works very well. Okay, there we go, guys. That now, and right on time, because I'm starting to feel a loss of steam on the process of making this. And what do you know, like what ends up happening with this? It's almost at the hour mark, so almost like an internal clock. I can tell it's getting close to the second hour. Okay, so here we go. Why are you? So this is going to say end which of you. That's where I need it to start. And it's going to have, and then it's going to end on the, like one of these. Here we go. All right. Using that old 1930s, 1940s kind of trick to highlight the text. That might be a little too dark. That's okay. That's why we have white, you guys. Okay, here we go. And now we're going to do, let's make sure we have that a little bit brighter. Make sure we have that a little bit brighter. A little bit darker here. Okay, and then erase. Not so bad, you guys. Not so bad. For that finger, the least exciting finger in the universe. Ladies and gentlemen. Corey was saying, yeah, there's a spot in the video where it goes very symbolic, so I had her do the art for that because it's drastically different. Intentional shift in tone. I think that's smart. Also, for anyone familiar with my work, you will know I am a fan of stylistic shifting. Like Two Stories, book one, changes art styles multiple times. And I am a fan of when that happens, when it works, and when it can further a narrative. I think more artists should be doing that more often. Let's see here. Merge down. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's check this out and let's see where we're at on the script now. You guys, we're halfway through the page. That literally means like 3.5 pages left to go. That is very exciting. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's a spot in the video where it goes very symbolic. Okay, and then you were saying, I stole it from Invincible. They changed artists when they did a flashback to Robot and Monster Girls theme in a flaxen dimension. Smart. Okay, dudes, I will be right back. I'm going to take my my other little short break. We're at about the halfway point of this page, a little bit less far for the thumbnail. The very long thumbnail. And then, yeah, and we're actually at about halfway through the fourth to last page of the script. So 4 pages left, about 3.5 now. Very exciting, very close, getting progress done. Feels good. Okay, now to refill my coffee, and I'll be back in about 20 seconds. See you guys then. All right. And then Frank was saying, okay, Frank was saying, I might do that when I expand to Captain Goggles and Mask Woman. I'll have Anna do a page or a couple of panels in her style. Smart. And then Corey was saying it's a great way to show a shift in time or place or meaning. And then Frank was saying I'll have to write something that will complement her style. So very nice comments, guys. I definitely, I'm a fan of it, and I'd like to see it more in comics. I feel like it's something we should use more. All right, so let's get back into the script. Here it's going to say, I wondered if my would have felt less anxious reading this. And again, this whole sequence is going to have little callbacks, like samples almost. Did I just say reading it? Reading, you guys. That's a late night error there. Reading. I don't like the orphan there. Oh. Should the orphan stay? No. Have you guys ever seen Pirates of Penzance? It is excellent. I don't know if it's on Netflix. If it is, you should check it out. See the version with Kevin Kline. It's one of my favorite movies. But anyhow, there's like ongoing bits in the Pirates of Penzance play about orphans. It's pretty awesome. So Adam was saying, do you print out or trace over your thumbnails in the final penciling stage, or do you look at it and redraw it? So what I do is actually like a whole crazy process. So what I'm going to be doing after this is coming up with my panel borders, and let's see here. Hang on a second. So what I'm going to do after this stage is basically like in Adobe Illustrator, I work out all my type and panel borders. From there, what I do is I will use these thumbnails to take photo references, like take as many photos as I can of characters, of poses, of lighting, of all that kind of stuff. From there, I tend to pencil the pages. And then what I do is I actually use the panel borders and stuff and the type, and I lightbox that to get really solid text. And then I'll pencil on the final pages based on all the photos and stuff, like my final pencils. So it's like a hybrid of a bunch of different things. But no, I'm not lightboxing from my tight pencils, although I've done that before too. So in the case of two stories, I just pencil directly on the final page, and then I ink over those pencils and then erase the pencils out from under it. I've worked in multiple ways before. Sometimes I've done digital pencils and then sort of light box from that and just done inks, which is a much cleaner way to do it. But it's just a laborious kind of crazy thing. So yeah, so there's a whole ton of different processes throughout that I use, like as I'm kind of working on it. But I hope that kind of answers what you're saying. And I gotta let my dog out of the room. He's all bummed. Hang on. What's going on, dude? You want some? You wanna hang out up here? Oh, there you go, dude. There you go. I feel lonely. So my dogs usually sleep in the room, but since my wife is like picking up her sister, they're just like all like out of sorts, and they want to sleep on the couch to kind of wait for their mom to come home. Makes sense. I mean, dogs are like pack animals and stuff like that. Yep, Corey nailed it. Reading this should be on its own line. Yep, I agree. All right, so here we go. Oh, okay. Anyhow, Pirates of Penzance has this on-running joke where they're pirates and they're gonna like pillage and destroy a city, but they have this pirate code because all the pirates are orphans. It's a comedy, right? Like it's a comedic musical play. But the ongoing bit in it is that they're orphans, and so they have a soft spot for orphans. So they'll commit piracy, but only against people who aren't orphans. Like if they're orphans, they have a code where like they won't be pirates against orphans. And so there's a point, like of course this information's gotten around. So the Pirates of Penzance like are about to attack this guy, and he's like, "Don't attack me, I'm an orphan." And he's like, "Do you mean orphan frequently or orphan like person who grew up without parents?" And they're like, they're hoping that he'll say like orphan frequently, which is a stupid play on words, but it's great. I absolutely love that play and that movie. And the whole orphan bit running throughout it's really funny. Or it's revealed that they're kind of failures as pirates because anytime they attack a ship, like the ships are just like, "Sorry, we're orphans," and they're like, "Oh, okay, sorry, never mind." So it's pretty great. But yeah, I think it's great. All right, here we go. I wondered. Okay, this I need to sample from previous book. So let's see here. Where is the samples? Looking through previous pages, guys. Let's see here. I think it's going to be chapter 3. Starts getting into panic disorder. Okay. I actually want to pull from this page. The kind of hanging in dead air pose there. Okay. Come on. All right. And I think we have a Corey Kerr joining us.
I'm doing some mindless stuff for a little bit. So
Yes. I like the mindless stuff. It's fun. I'm excited about the last half of this book. Like the second Frank was saying I was trying to trigger seizures with the flickering.
what book are you talking about?
I was saying like with this like when I get to the last chunk of executing this, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be pretty mindless.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I see what you're saying.
And let me get rid of my giant branding that you are now encroaching on my beautiful branding.
It's my favorite.
Okay. So there we go. I am excited about the new webcam. This guy, it's pretty cool.
I didn't know you got a new webcam. That's cool.
Yeah, I finally got a webcam. So what's cool is, in theory, I gotta test this out maybe tomorrow. But in theory, I might even be able to show my face while I'm doing a book review.
Oh yeah. I did that the other day,
which is pretty cool. So, because I'm gonna use my phone still. It's like the ideal thing to have looking down, but it's like now I can have a secondary camera. So if I might set that up before Monday. Which, speaking of, that's like my homework. Is tomorrow I have to read a 250-page biography.
Jeez. Oh. Yeah, I'm glad it's not my turn. I don't think I'd be up for it tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, I'm surprised you're conscious. When did you get the shot again?
Got it. I got it Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, I went out kayaking all day.
How was Friday?
And then Friday was fine. I felt great. I had a headache Thursday. And then Friday, I felt awesome. And I assume it was from got a little, not a sunburn, but just like a little bit of a sun thing. I've heard that vitamin D is really helpful in combating against COVID. So I figured, I don't know, that might be it.
Well, from what I've read, Corey, it's if you have a better immune system, it actually hits you harder. So it just means that I have a better immune system than you, that I got rocked by it. I'm just kidding. I'm joking, by the way.
I wouldn't disagree with that because I don't have the greatest immune system.
I was kind of kidding, dude. That's actually really good news. If like I said, I've known some people who didn't get hit by it. I unfortunately, like my wife and I both. Also, the question is, were you Pfizer or Moderna?
Moderna.
Oh wow. Okay, you're in the Moderna crew. Then you lucked out, dude.
Well, I mean, I didn't luck out today.
So you're feeling it today, like the aches, all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow. I've been in and out today, and I was working all day, and I was like, oh cool. Like last night, I was able to go till about 5 a.m. And then today I woke up around noon, and I was like, holy crap, I'm feeling it. So I had and couldn't take a full breath, and it's been not fun since then.
It sucks.
let's see. I kind of want this to. I'm trying to think through how this would fill in, because this we're gonna like watch this cocoon be animated, like be built as it's going. And so I'm trying to get some. I don't know. I'm probably mumbling to myself, and I'm trying to get like the inside of this so that as it shows up, that's going to be CHB6. It'll look a little bit, what do you call that? 3D, like you'll see a little bit of the backside.
Oh, Corey, have you ever seen Pirates of Penzance?
The only thing I know about Pirates of Penzance is that one line, I am the model of a modern major general, but I don't even think I've heard that whole song, let alone seen it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be one of the hardest parts to do is the colonel, I think, is his character. But he's the one who does the major general.
Yeah.
Because it's like just some of the most difficult wordplay that you have to memorize.
Right.
So that's one of the things it's most notorious for. But outside of that, it's like super fun. Like it's just a fun story. I don't know why I made a group there. I don't use groups in Photoshop very often. Is that weird?
I use groups just because they translate well to After Effects. When you bring them up, when you do a group in Photoshop, it imports as a composition in After Effects.
And then let's see if we can find this here.
There's that.
I like that we transition pretty seamlessly from like
talking to each other,
to talking to
ourselves.
Because that is the nature of working on art. Oh, that's looking cool. Is that a Gumminelli background too?
Yeah. So this is, I'll show you. Oh, wait, it might crash. Let me save it.
Well, it's nice to see her like using her guns.
Oh, yeah. She was great, man. If anybody's looking for somebody to collaborate with, she was awesome. Takes direction really well, and she was fast. And she puts up with me expecting everybody to have everything in a million layers so that I can animate it really well.
It's not like, I don't know, from having collaborated with you in the past, it's not rocket science. It's like a lot of it is like very similar to like building assets for anything, but like apps or anything where they're going to have movable parts, because like in general, it's like you just want as many options, like joints, all of that, like broken up so that things can move. It's the way I always think of it, like for my generation, I don't even know if this will mean anything to a younger generation, but it's like kind of building color forms almost.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So there were these things back in the 80s called color forms where you would get like a G.I. Joe set or whatever, and it would give you a background, right? And then you'd have these little like window decals that you could kind of like put on and like move. So it was just basically like making animation cells that you could move over, but like for kids, you know, they still sell them at stores, color
That's
forms.
Cool.
But anyhow,
I showed you the animation cells I got, right?
Yeah, they're very cool. Very, very cool.
I don't like that.
I actually, growing up, I had one friend, like in junior high, and I remember going to stay the night at his house. And his mom had all these, like, what is it? The cell paint. I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's like, it's the paint that you use on animation cells. And she had a whole bunch of that. And I was like, what's this for? And she's like, oh, I like color animation cells. That's what I do for a living. She was a freelancer.
Oh, that's cool.
And I just thought it was the coolest thing, like, you know. But she wasn't doing them for actual animation. They were the collectible ones.
Oh,
so she would, you know, basically have clear ones and then like fill in the colors working on the reverse side.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking that was the coolest thing. And in retrospect, I'm like, that poor lady, like, probably does not have a job now. Or
Hopefully
maybe
she,
maybe adapted and switched to digital.
yeah, hopefully she transitioned somehow.
I think it's called, is it called cell vinyl, that paint? It's really pretty. I had a friend in grad school who used it to paint on wood. Actually, it's really cool.
Yeah, I
Gotta
don't
find out what
know.
that
I don't
paint's
actually
called.
know much about it, to be honest. I'm gonna leave those.
So
Ugh.
let's see.
What is that? Why is that?
Crazy
What is
anxiety.
this? Oh, it's multiply. Give me normal and give me full resolution. There we go. I wanted this caterpillar to be higher contrast, and so I'm adding higher contrast in.
So this is gonna pull some weird stuff here. Talks about, I'm just trying to find a sequence earlier in the story because there is a graphic sequence that I want to reference. It's like that sampling thing that I like to do. Only in particular parts, but I feel like it kind of adds a little poetry to a scene. But it's a fine line, right?
Sorry, I was focusing. What's the fine line?
Like you can kind of sample different imagery from previously in your book, and I think it works with like long form books or animation, you know, where you like kind of have like a repeated theme that's going to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that works. That's one of the running gags. I've been talking about Invincible a lot lately. That's one of the running gags in Invincible is every time they go to Cecil Stedman's secret base, they have the same shot of like the base. And at first it was like, oh, they're reusing artwork, but then you realize like, no, they're being funny. Like it's like obvious that because the whole comic is kind of a just like a love letter to superhero comics, and so they do that like as a joke to say like, yeah, we know that this is a thing in superhero comics is like repeating artwork.
That is hilarious.
But it always has Pentagon CIA headquarters, and then in the bottom of the sign it says parking in rear, which is funny since that building is like circular. Okay, I think if that is all together like that, then I could puppet pin it. Maybe with 3 pins. That would be cool. Okay. Turn this back up. I'm trying to figure out if I want this caterpillar to move like an inchworm or if I want to try to move it like a caterpillar.
Well, I mean, if you have it move like an inchworm, you can sing the inchworm song.
There's an inchworm song?
Yeah, there's like a kid's song, like something about the inchworm.
Oh, I was unaware.
I think you can look it up. Let's see. What is it? How does that go again? I have to remember.
Okay, I'm going to smash this
The
together.
inchworm song. So it was a Danny Kaye, Hans Christian, and Anderson song. 2 and 2 are 4. 4 and 4 are 8. 8 and 8 are 16. 16 and 16 are 32. Inchworm, measuring the marigold. You and your arithmetic, you'll probably go far. That is the Inchworm song. It's a kid's song. And David Bowie actually covered it. Like, I love Google.
That's
I
awesome.
love weird rabbit holes. I'm like, I remember there being an Inchworm song. So let's see here.
I do want to make that darker. Can I add? I wonder. What's the highlight? Can I Eesh.
Oh my goodness, there is like a whole separate wormhole going on here. Speaking of inchworms, in the chat about orphans
Yeah. I
and
saw that.
what the etiquette is to. But yes, I think it's anyone without their parents. It's where I would kind of consider it. But yeah, sorry for even going on the orphan rant. So in typography, if you have like a single word, like you're writing a line, like any body of copy, and there's one word just sitting there alone, it's called an orphan in type. And so you want to avoid orphans and widows. That's just a rule in type. Like there's actually a typographic thing called an orphan and a typographic thing called a widow. So there you go. And I think I'm trying to remember what widows are in type. I think
So widows are a single line of a paragraph that spills into the next column.
Exactly. There we go. So,
Frank always avoids orphans and widows, so that's good. He shuns them.
That's very, very Christian of you, Frank. I think there was a quote by Jesus where he's talking about avoiding orphans and widows.
Yeah, Jesus was.
To be honest, if Jesus was talking about typography, he would have been like, "Stay away from orphans and widows," because, like, there is like a. I think most people would think that like if there is this triune set of beings that have been in harmony with each other since before existence even began, that they probably have an idea of aesthetic beauty and typographic truth. And so I'm just saying, like, orphans and widows, when it comes to aesthetics and typography, please avoid them, you guys. And now people will pour through 2 Stories book 1 and find all the orphans and widows and be like,
I know,
you're a hypocrite.
It's always funny to, like, I talk about like tangents a lot in class and stuff. I'm always waiting for a student to be like, "You've got tangents all over this thing." Yeah, I do.
Tangents are something you try to avoid and you will never fully avoid.
They seem to be, though, one of the major differences between amateur work and professional work.
Yeah, it's funny because strangely, there's little tricks that like you can draw worse. There are tricks that you can employ that allow drawings that aren't even as good formally to look like a million times better. Yep. And a bunch of them are like tangents, composition, like just knowing how to avoid certain failures can let you make something less good look better than something better. I don't know if that makes sense. Because if you had a brilliantly executed drawing that's just like follows all the formal elements, like has perfect anatomy, but it has crappy tangents all over it, and you put that next to a stylized drawing that has less informed anatomy but has no tangents, the eye is people are visually most likely going to be like, dude, I love that one that's less formally well constructed. It's a weird thing, you know. Same with like the rule of 3. Like if you follow the rule of 3 in compositions, it's just like, where you arrange your image where it's taking up like 1/3 of an image. It just looks better, and it can look better than it. It's very strange how those things work. But you're right. Like, I think that is one of those things that separates amateur from professional work. It's very strange.
Absolutely.
But it's also fun because in a weird way, it's kind of like a cheat.
Yeah.
It's a superpower. And
it'll
get you far.
It really helps with flow too. Like,
yeah.
I think it's very important when you have like that flow.
Mm-hmm. And it starts becoming more and more intuitive as you do art too. It's something you just start noticing to avoid. And I do think half of leveling up as an artist is just like catching errors and fixing them. Like, it's not that you stop making errors, you just get better at catching your own errors.
This is how lazy I am. I am not even going to rename my dash recovered file. I'm just going to import it.
Good for you.
All right. So let's grab.
Okay, I'm halfway through this business. I am feeling good about this page. All right.
And our cocoon. There we go. And where's our cocoon attachment? Perfect. That goes right there. Zoom in on that. Since you were talking about that song, I've had da 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 da.
Yeah, but like you really have to visually imagine that when it goes la la la, like right when that happens, you just have somebody holding up two middle fingers, like but poetically, like
poetically.
Because that's what my buddy does every time that song's on, and it's beyond hilarious because he'll do it like almost like it's a ballet, like a movement, like interpretive dance, but just land on the two middle fingers, like right at the. And it's a visual that you can never get out of your head, which is great. So
that's great.
Yeah, it makes the song like 20 times more impactful emotionally. Okay. Now that I've made my silly jokes. All right, so let's see here. I need to have. This is going to be interesting. Oh, this needs a callback too. Holy moly. We had that a little earlier in the narrative. Oh, this is craziness.
Oh, I was going to show you this, and then I probably will bow out again because I'm about to do more thinking stuff.
Sounds good.
Let's see if I can render this without everything crashing. So let it render. We'll just do 10 seconds of it. That'll work. All the little leaves and grass blades and
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. That'll be kind of fun. And that caterpillar is just going to like inch along.
Measuring the marigolds, right?
What's that reference?
Same inchworm song thing.
Okay.
I'm just gonna play that till it's dead. Let's see here.
Is it dead at the start if no one else gets it? Or
yeah,
I've never
100%.
Never heard that song before. Okay, I'm gonna go foam roll my back and.
All right. Google David Bowie covering the inchworm song.
Okay.
We'll crack you up.
Will do.
All right. So thanks for stopping by. Everybody check out Corey Kerr, CoreyKerr.com. Some great animations. And now I'm super happy because I get to bring back my crazy banner. Here's my crazy banner. It drives Corey nuts. And I'm going to get rid of that brand business that's coming sliding down here. Boom. Look at that. That right there. All right. So let's see here. And then I got to figure this out. Your second panel has a tangent in the ear. That is 100% true. And now that tangent is fixed. Take that tangent. Shoot those tangents. All right. Just have to do a bunch of math in my brain. Struggles to multitask. Mine too. So I'm trying to think how to do this. I kind of want to reference this for this next section. All right, let's see here. So I got to think about this for 2 seconds, this next section. Okay. Let me at least block out the text that I need to have. Okay. All of this seemed far less terrifying wrath, murder. All right. I need like 2 seconds to kind of think about this. That's something I had before in an earlier text. That's like my uninformed idea of the God of the Bible at the time. Literally pulled from a comic that I did and my character is working on in this book. Okay, let's see. I got to think about this last panel, where I want to go. So give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. I'm going to also refill my coffee. It's a little early, but I need the brain to kind of process this. Okay. Give me 2 seconds or 20 seconds. I'll be right back. Hmm. Oh, I think I've got it. I think I've got it, and it's going to be weird. Okay. So I do want to pull that previous kind of angry dude. All right, here we go. And we're going to save this and have it be, it's just going to be a floating angry head. Believe me, this will get really cool, I think, in a second. So, angry head's going to have crown, This was like my cartoon version of what I thought was the Christian God at the time. And a realization that I might have been wrong about that view from reading the New Testament at a low point in my life. So it's kind of interesting. But definitely going to be pulling that kind of character design. Strange little cartoon crown I've got here. Draw the crown first, draw the character through it. That's another thing that Corey can probably vouch for. That's like a sign of a pro versus a amateur in art, is like draw through your figures. It's a kind of amazing thing to be able to do. Like if you're drawing a hat, don't draw your character around the hat, like draw the hat over your character, draw through the items that you're doing. I say as I'm doing this like terrible sketch here. I want that angrier, lower eyebrows. There we go. This will make sense in a second, guys. It's crazy business. Okay. And I drew this head a little too wide, so we're gonna shrink it. I kind of tilted like that. And this is good. All right, let's draw the eyeball there. Okay. And a little bit of lighting to kind of reinforce the anger here of this fictional version that I had in my head. Shadowing there. Okay, so that solves that. And hopefully this will work. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go with it, but I think okay. Here we go. I hope you guys are making good progress on your own projects. It was cool to see what Corey is working on. Sometimes doing this live stream, I can feel a bit like Mr. Rogers, where I'm like, I hope you guys are having happy, creative times. But in a weird way, it's kind of cool. It's fun to think that we're kind of doing this casual hangout where we're all getting art done. And it's, I don't know, to me, there's something excellent about knowing that everybody's out there working on creative projects. again, kind of similar to like the point of my book about like trying to make people who are struggling with different mental difficulties, like different mental illnesses and stuff, feel less alone. I also feel like as artists, sometimes when we're working on this stuff, it can be pretty lonely in the studio. So it's nice to, like, for me, I enjoy doing these streams because I like the idea of other people out there in other states, sometimes other countries, um, just hanging out and working on stuff together. I think that's a really cool thing. At having to answer, not deal. This is going to pull from the panel before. This one won't pull directly, but it's going to at least have a bit of that. I think it's toward the end of the last two stories book. There's a little sequence. Sorry about the flashing. Whoa. Page 80. Okay, we're going to pull from this. And we're going to do another little similar thing, but this will be more realistic in its layout. That's just my off the top of my head George Bush. You see that panel again. Okay, they're just floating. I love it. How many heads did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay. So maybe I can reflect that a little bit. We need to have that teacher. Where's let's see. I want the teacher from sequence 2. Okay. Kind of more realistic version of that teacher. Yeah, I'm kind of giving him like a Perot ears for sure. Let me show you some charts real quick of didn't you have like a Perot had like a tagline? I feel like it's been a long time since Ross Perot, but I feel like he had a specific tagline. Was he the one who did the "Will you let me finish? Will you let me finish? Okay, I'm finished." I feel like that was him. Okay, that'll work for now. Let's see if I can find the cop. There's a couple people that I want to have referenced in here. It's definitely going to have the pastor dude. All right. Let's see. Open. Another big-eared fella. All right. And let's see here. Cop in this one will be one. One's going to be the bartender in the very beginning. Just trying to kind of bring back some people that people will be familiar with in this story. Let's see. I think he's in. Maybe it was 6. Page 6, yep. And I definitely am going to have to shrink this down a little bit to make it work, but I think I have to let the other dog out now because it's funny, all the dogs are freaking out because their mom is not where she should be. Because she's picking up her sister, so they're all like, I don't know what to do with reality. I'm a little dog. It's crazy. I gotta go let that dog in for a second. So this will be referencing this guy. And let me shrink this down a little bit because I'm definitely going to want, and then I got to go get the little pup so that he doesn't feel all freaked out. So, okay, be right back. One head left. One head left, you guys. Okay, I'll be right back. You okay, Scotch? Why are you crying? Want to come hang out? Poor little dude. All right. So here's the little chihuahua that gets all freaked out about his mama being gone. So there he is. All right, I'm gonna go put him in a spot where he feels a little more cozy. Here you go, bud. Here you go. All right. All right, so those dogs are on our couch, all chilling. That way they feel a little better. They can kind of keep an eye out, looking out for the return of their master. And then let's see here. I want to have this head. Oof. Okay, this head more over here. This head more over here and tilted a little bit. This head more over here. This head more over here. And what should be the last character in here? Oh, cop from earlier. There's like a police detective earlier in the story. I think he's like, of these thumbnails, probably. Actually, rather than the detective, it might be good to have literally be crazy neighbor. Okay, that's going to be it for that crazy sequence. I think I do want the head a little larger. Okay. So there we go. Now we're going to have it say here. What is this going to say? Okay, there we go. And we're on the last panel, guys, at about the 3-hour mark. So I'm pretty excited because if I can like manage to pull this off without being 1 in the morning when I'm done, I will feel good. Thank you, Night Gang, for hanging out with me. It's been really cool. We're not done yet. Well, I'm not done yet. But I appreciate you guys keeping me company while doing this. So it's going to say would probably not bother me as much were I to believe in the fictitious premise. Okay, we're getting there. It's a lot of type. I think this might be an exception to the Orphan thing, where it's like a 3-line thing. I don't like that spacing though. So that might actually not work. Okay, that's not going to work either. Got it. Better idea. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is yeah, that's great. So I guess I was right about Ross Perot was the can I finish? Okay, I'm finished guy. Can I finish? Can I finish? Okay, I'm finished. All right. Let's see here. Getting there with these roughs. Okay, guys. I think we've done it. So, whew, I have gotten. Oh my goodness, we've made a lot of progress tonight, guys. I'm over. I have like 3.5 pages left to go till I'm done. 3.5 pages of script. So we made a lot of progress tonight on Two Stories Book 2. And I hope you guys have made equal progress on your own personal projects. Thanks to everybody who's shown up on the stream. If you haven't yet, please pick up a copy of Two Stories Book 1, which you can get on Amazon for a reduced rate. And if you like these streams and they keep you entertained or anything like that, make sure you hit the subscribe and the button, the bell, so you get notifications when we're about to go live. And feel free to comment in the comment section if you found anything interesting about the stream. All right, guys, I will see you. I don't know what your over 9,000 means, so I'd have to know what that means. But anyhow, so anybody who feels so inclined, just feel free to let me know, and I will let you guys go, and I will see you on the next live stream, which hopefully will be tomorrow night, because I'm hoping to work on these every single night, these pages. So thanks for keeping me company, and thanks for hanging out. Corey, good luck on your animation. Frank, best of luck getting your next comic done, and hopefully avoiding crazy tornadoes. And with that being said, I will see you guys on the next stream, and I hope you have a good art night. Bye.